Welcome back. And so, as Jeffrey has said, we're big on security today. Speaking of security, this time we're focusing on the architecture or the lack of it around the prison system. Reports came through yesterday that there was a jailbreak reported yet again, where 16 inmates escaped, but 7 have since been recaptured. This took place in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Under the last administration, the count as far as jailbreaks is concerned was about 14. And the count has already begun of jailbreaks under this watch as well. So what are the issues? Let's begin this conversation. And joining us is Mr. Dixon Osagie. He's the Managing Director, Debris Protection Services, and of course, a security consultant who joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Osagie, for joining us on the program. Mr. Osagie, you might want to unmute so that we can hear you clearly.
Thank you. Good morning.
Brilliant. It's good to see you again, Mr. Osagie. Let's start with what you consider to be the biggest challenges around the security infrastructure around the Nigeria Correctional Services, particularly following reports of jailbreaks. Perhaps let's consider that which we have experienced this year alone.
It's a disturbing situation, Bukola, because each time we hear about jailbreak, it tells you about the systemic failure from the leadership of the Nigerian Correctional Facility. Jailbreak in Nigeria has been happening from time immemorial. This very year alone, we had the Kuje jailbreak and other parts of the country. It has to deal with infrastructural design, because if you are given the privilege, or if you are the DG of the Nigerian Correctional Center, you are not there for fashion, or you're not there to just keep looking at the facility. You need to first of all look at the actual design and the possibility of criminal escape, because if this incident keep happening, that tells you the leadership of the Nigerian Correctional Center has failed the Nigerian government. Because for us to get it very properly, I would advise that they first of all carry out an assessment of all the Nigerian Correctional Facility to ensure that there is no escape route for this criminal element. And for them to succeed, every prison facility must have what we call concentric cycle of protection, or layered of protection, which has to deal with three zones, the outer zone, the middle zone, and the inner zone. Because for a prisoner or for an inmate to escape the prison, he must have passed through these zones, from the inner zone where he is, where they are kept, to the middle zone where you have the administrative blocks, and to the outer zone before you can escape. But here we have these guys just escape like that, as if they are living in a bungalow or they are living in a 2-bedroom flat. No, if this keep on happening, I tell you, they are endangering the life of the Nigerian people, because 1 or 2 inmates might go back to revenge. And that is why we also need to start looking at the escape design, escape design. Because when we talk about security, yes, when crime occurs, for you to curtail crime, there's what we call opportunity. And this criminal opportunity, once been exploited by this criminal, they succeed. So what you do is that you put in delay mechanism, delay measures in place, so that it will enable the security agent, maybe for the military, those are the military based or the police officers, for them to respond to that zone. So if you have a delay mechanism in place, I tell you, this criminal element will not just swiftly break the prison and go. So that tells you that they need to go back, assess all the Nigerian prison facilities, and send a report to the government or to the presidency and say, hey, we need to redesign our prison. We need to reconstruct our prison so that we'll have the inner zone, the outer zone, and the middle zone protection design for this prisoners not to be able to escape. The whole essence here is that they must ensure that every prison in Nigeria has delay mechanism or escape delay design. If you put in escape delay design, I tell you, we will not be hearing about prison break.
So pending when we're able to do this, come up with this sophistry that you put out, as far as the delay mechanism is concerned, let's work with what we have. Why do you think this has been a possibility over time? Is it about complicity within the system, or just the fact that infrastructure are not strong enough to be able to hold back some of these prisoners from carrying out some of the actions they took? Well, we must also commend the authorities for being able to recapture some persons who have escaped. We know there's the greater number at large, but some persons, about 7 out of the 16 or so, have been recaptured. So with what we have right now, what can we do to ensure this doesn't happen again, or is totally minimized as much as possible?
Fantastic question, Geoffrey. I do not subscribe to one or two prisoners they've been recaptured. The crime has been committed, the escape has been committed, and that tells you that your security system has been defeated. And when you have your security system defeated, that is when you need to come on board and reassess. Now, going by your question, what we need to start looking at is that we need to start looking at training of the correctional facility officers, let them understand, and also look within. Because for me, when I carry out an assessment of all the prison break in Nigeria, I can tell you for free that there is one or two elements within the facility that are compromising the effort of the Nigerian prison system. Because if you're on duty, what you need to do is to ensure that you monitor most of these criminal elements. And we have officers on duty, armed officers on duty. So how are they able to penetrate or break these guys? What are the alarm systems? Where are the technological systems? To send signal to the control room, because if we have prison facility, we must have a control room in place that will monitor everything going on in the prison facilities, every step by step. So, for example, an inmate in the prison being monitored from officers in the control room, and maybe they're trying to break or penetrate one or two areas, you observe some suspicious movement. The officer for the control room will be able to communicate with the police officer at arm or the officer at arm and say, hey, I'm observing some suspicious move within this zone. Please, can you dispatch officers to go and curtail that situation? So that's what we call management of sin or management of crime, because you don't allow crime to occur before you respond. So the Nigerian prison facility, we need to know if they have CCTV monitoring system in place to be able to monitor these guys, because CCTV also play a role of psychological deterrence. If these criminals understand or are aware that they are being monitored by CCTV control system, they will not want to take a step before to carry out these prison break activities. So for the meantime, they need to have the CCTV system in place, have officers monitoring it live. Don't just put a CCTV camera without anyone monitoring it. It must be monitored live so that it will be able to curtail any crime in progress or after the commission of crime, so that you'll be able to see the visuals or the pictures of those that committed the crime. But I tell you, security is achievable, and what is happening in our prison system is a shame and a disgrace to our security service, to our prison service.
The reason I asked, my first question was because of, concerns about infrastructure in our prison system, because a correctional service, a prison is supposed to have high walls. There's supposed to be armed guards, at the entrance or around the prison itself. But time and again, when these reports come through, what we hear is about a connivance from within, which also speaks to a systemic failure of perhaps the welfare of staff of the correctional service itself, if there can be a breach from within. I'd like you to speak to that and the implications of that, if it is coloring reports that come through about jailbreaks.
Okay, I think some years ago, there was just a film I watched, it called Prison Break, and I discovered that it took these criminals sometimes about weeks or months to be able to penetrate the prison and have a jailbreak. You see, crime is a process whereby you need to understand how it occurs. You need to understand criminal intent. You need to understand the prisoner's intent, and that's why you don't have to put all prisoners in one zone. You need to have various zones. You need to have the high-profile criminals, the dangerous criminals, and the mid-criminals or the simple criminals. Crime is a crime. Criminals are criminals. But if you don't zone these guys, you will not be able to, monitor your criminal facilities. And wherever you put these guys, these criminal guys have been kept. They don't just have to break in. I've been to police stations, and I've seen a Nigerian police cell. I've never heard about a police cell being broken. Not to talk about prison. So if this prison break keeps on happening, that tells you that there's compromise. There's compromise, and the Nigerian Prison Service needs to also vet its officers and men. You need to know who are coming into the system. Where are they coming from? You have their background check. You have their history. You have their crime history. Perhaps someone might just be an ex-convict and find his way into prison facility and also aid these criminal activities in carrying out this crime. But for us to succeed in these criminal activities, all officers and men on duty must always be on alert to ensure that they don't put the prison facility into a state of coercion. shame the correctional facility. But for me, DG Sylvester must send officers and men of expatriates to go around all the prison facility in the country. Because if I am the president of this country and a prison break occurs the first time, second time, I will fire the DG. Because what are you doing? Go around the facilities all over the country and look at what you should put in place to ensure that you carry out an effective escape delay design. Every prison must have escape delay design. If, for example, your security measure fail, then that escape delay design will delay the criminal. Just for example, the roof, you need to have what we call anti-climb structures. Whoever is going through the roof will go there and meet some nails. How do you want to pass through nails? That's what we call anti-climb structures. Put all those things in place and also put some deadly bollard system in place to ensure that whoever is trying to break through the system will not be able to go out scot-free. I see this as a shame for me, and we must stop this, and the DG must carry out an assessment of all our prisons in the country so that we'll be able to profile mitigation factors to stop this reoccurrence.
I know this may be not exactly security related, but it can border on the psychological outplay, both for the staff of the prison facilities and the prisoners or inmates themselves. The state of prisons itself. Some of these prisons are despicable. It's called we even try to rebrand it to call it a correctional center, just euphemism, if you will. But this is real prison. Literally, you go there, it's like a death row. In some parts, the kind of food they eat, where they sleep, it's like you've already condemned them. And it's even worse. Sometimes people that are even on trial are waiting trial. The situation they find themselves. That's why when you see people just hear that they are going to maybe jail or to prison, there's panic, for many reasons. Besides the fact that they are going to be out of circulation, the state of prisons. You are seeing pictures that on the screen. You look at the state of our prison. So this is where the breakout happened. This particular one. So you see, they punctured everywhere, tried to escape. So talk to us about the state of the prison itself and the welfare of the people who are running it. Because if we don't do that, complicity is going to be a norm whenever they have the opportunity to do it.
Fantastic question, Geoffrey. And I will tell you the truth. From our military, our police, our prison service, our other paramilitary services, they are the poorest paid officers and men in the whole world, I tell you, because if you don't take very good care of officers and men, and if you don't pay them very well, these are guys that put their life on the line to protect the Nigerian state. Now, when you put your life on the line to protect the Nigerian state, what the state has in line for you is to also give you a beautiful environment, hygienically wise, motivational wise, and also accommodational wise, so that your mental state, your well-being will be on the alert to protect the Nigerian state and serve Nigeria with all your heart. Because there's a pledge in our national pledge that says, "I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest." Now, where is that faithfulness? Where is that honesty from our security agents? Because if you fail them, they will fail you. And that is why our government should start looking at motivations, like the prison service. How much are they paying them? If, for example, I'm a worker in the prison service, and you're paying me like 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira, which is less than $100, and someone who has about 100 million or 10 million naira comes to me and say, "Hey, look, we need to get these guys out from this prison, this high-profile criminal." There's tendency for compromise, and that is why most times you take care of your staff, you take care of your officers and men. So the Nigerian government has a lot to do, because when we look at the multi-dimensional security threat bedeviling the country, most of the contributing factors are, lack of motivation to our officers and men. Why would I put my life on the line and you don't want to take good care of me? You understand? So we should start looking at the welfare of the prison. I saw the pictures you displayed. Even graveyard looks more better than the structure you just displayed. If you put some animals in this prison, I don't think they will survive within some years. So that structure alone is a crime. You understand? It's a crime. For me, I think that structure I'm seeing right now is a crime. How will you have human being put here? Some of these guys in the prison, they are all not all of them are condemned criminals. Not all of them have received verdict. Some of them are awaiting trial, and some of them are awaiting bail. So when you bring human being and put them here, I think it's an act of animal behavior on the side of the leadership of the Nigerian correctional facilities. Because if you want to treat human beings, you must treat them very well and ensure that their dignity are maintained and respected. So we must in a section of the escape design facility and also the escape design, architectural design, in a section of the infrastructural design. Then the officers are men. We need to also start looking at training them, on crime prevention and also criminal escape. Apart from that, then make sure that they are well motivated. Let's look at the wider
security implications of this jailbreaks recorded time and again. In the major one of 2022, where the reports were to the effect that at the time the jailbreak occurred in Kuje, nearly 1,000 may have escaped, but 448 were returned to the prison. It's not clear whether all of them have been recaptured and returned to the prison. And, we could talk about that for the other jailbreaks that we have recorded. For the one in Kefi, for instance, only 7 of them have been found. What are the wider security implications of having prison inmates abound across the country?
Yeah, it's going to constitute what we call society at threat, the society, because these guys were moved from a locality to the police station, from the police station to the courts, from the courts to the prison. So when they come back, some of them wants to, go after the persons or whoever reported them, or whatever the case may be. And in exception of going after whoever reported them, they're also going to constitute a society at threat. They are going to be a menace to society. And that is why when you look at the design of our our prison system, most guys that goes to the prison, over 50 to 70% or 80% that goes to the prison don't come as reformed. So what's the reformation process about our prison system? When you go to the prison and you came out from the prison without being reformed, it's telling you that there's a failure in the system. And that's why we have a high rate of recidivism. Recidivism in the sense that most people who go to prison come back to reoffend. I am the advisor to a man of God, and that was almost assassinated some years ago. And the guys that attempted to assassinate this man of God were once in the prison, and they were released in Kwara State because there was not enough evidence to prove that they were criminals. And they formed up a formidable criminal gang and carried out this deadly attack and killed about 4 police officers, carried out some other attack on some facilities of the Nigerian security agent. So for me, I think we should start going back. We should go back to the drawing board and understand what the problem is, because it's not good, Bukola. Every time we come on Chinese television and other TV stations, we kept talking about the vulnerable state of our security incident, kept talking about crime. I agree. I'm not here to tell you that crime can be eliminated. We will live with crime till eternity. Thousands of years ago, Cain killed his brother Abel. Today, people are still killing their brothers and sisters, killing their father and mother, killing children. Crime will be with crime, but the whole essence is mitigation. So mitigate it to as low as reasonably acceptable in a given society. So most of these guys, like the ones that transpired some time ago, where we have about 800 escaped, 400 recovered, 700 escaped, 300 recovered, is going to be a serious security threat to our society, and crime will keep on flourishing. So management of crime is all about accosting these guys and taking them to the prison. What are the information process in place? And also, what are the motivational process in place for our security agents to ensure that they do the right thing at the right time and protect the Nigerian state? We have a country called Nigeria, and each and every one of us, like you guys in the studio, each day comes out to talk about security issues. So for us, we must come together and ensure that we make this country great again.
Very unsettling commentary there, but however difficult, the conversation must be had. We must thank you very much, Mr. Dixon Osagie, for your time. Mr. Osagie is the Managing Director of the Breeze Protection Services and a security consultant who has brought his experience to bear on this conversation. Thank you very much for your time.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Chinese Television. Thank you.
There's more security subjects to explore, but that will be after this break when we look at the wider implications of, aviation security in the light of the circumstances of the past week. So stay with us. We'll be right back.